What leadership capabilities have helped you thrive in association management?
Leadership capabilities they evolve. I think that I consider myself always to be a work in progress. So I would say empathy is a very strong leadership skill or trait because putting yourself in others' shoes and treating others the way you would want to be treated is very important. But I also, as you shared, have had a few jobs in this sector. And so resiliency is important, being able to adapt to change. That's so important now more than ever before, because as we emerge from the pandemic, there's just so much we don't know. So being a perpetual student, being able to adjust to the changing market dynamics, very important. But I would also say because ASAE is a member driven organization, really is a partnership with staff, being a good listener, understanding voice of the member, understanding meeting members where they are, and having that ability to adjust, again, the adaptability, the resiliency to respond to what you're hearing is extremely important. I would end with, and not just be limited what I'm sharing with you, but the power of partnership and collaboration, being able to cross lines and being able to collaborate with others and truly bring out the essence of the value and the impact of that collaboration and finding the key tenets that will make it successful is very important. We're all operating with limited resources these days. So being able to listen, be resilient, be able to collaborate, all of these that I shared, I think are very important.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. As I know, I was having conversations with clients, those same skill sets are exactly what they're looking for in their talent these days. For those of you who do know you, know how passionate you are about diversity, equity, and inclusion. What have you seen as being most effective at improving progress on DE&I throughout your career?
Well, I say diversity, equity, and inclusion is not a moment; it is a movement. And I would say most recently, the past few years have helped us to understand the importance of uniting behind the movement around inclusion. So throughout my career, I view obviously diversity as representation, making sure you have the right people as part of that process, right? E would be equitable, making sure you're very fair in the treatment, right? You can quantify diversity, but the fairness, the practices, the policies, and the procedures are very important. And then that I being the sense of inclusion and belonging is critical. Now, I would say DEI has evolved over the years and will continue to do so. But I would say the inclusion piece is very important as we emerge from the pandemic, as we re-enter our workplaces and spaces and reconnect as a community. Who am I? How does the association embrace me and my individuality, right? My authenticity, how create that sense of belonging and connectedness. That is so important. But I would say the inclusion piece is hard because it's really human centric. It's really based on the fundamental customized needs of that individual. So I think that is a place and a space where we're going to have to start focusing on as a sector. Here at ASAE, I'm really excited to share that we have a DEI strategy or a framework that's really focused on conscious inclusion. And that conscious inclusion just really centers around being intentional in every single thing that we do. And we've had some successes with that as well, most recently at our annual meeting. We recognize that we not had an in-person annual meeting in 3 years, but we really needed, again, to be very intentional, focus on the individual. And we really looked at convening communities of underrepresented members so they connect in a more intentional and in authentic ways prior to our conference. And that proved to be very successful for us. But we also wanted every activation that we had at our meeting to reflect the level of intention. And our success rating from that was very positive. We had 90% satisfaction rating from our conference. And so when you are intentional, it takes time, but if you do it the right way, you will receive the results you're seeking.